Are you a business owner looking to increase your profits without hiring anyone? If that's the case, you've come to the right place. We're going to talk about how you could do that. Quite frankly, a lot of these strategies are stuff that I've seen implemented as a financial planner, and especially more recently as a business coach. These are the things that I see a lot of business owners implement, and these are the things that I've seen work. Now, first, we're going to start off with pricing. How do you fix pricing? Well, let's take it even before that. How do you even come up with your prices in the first place? Some people just look at what the market's doing and say, okay, whatever it's doing, I'm going to charge a little bit lower. And essentially have commoditized their price, and it's like a race to the bottom, as they say. And the challenge with that is always, obviously, that you're lowering your margins and you're competing all the way to see who could be the cheapest. The second one is some people see, what does it cost to provide a service? What does it cost to provide this product? And whatever it costs, I'm going to charge, some margin on top of that. So if it costs me $500 to produce this, I'm going to put some margin on that, say 10%. Now it's $550, right? The last alternative, and there are a few others, but the last alternative that I see a lot of business owners use when they're really successful typically is what's called value-based pricing. And this is where I think a lot of business owners should look to. It doesn't always work for everyone, but it's something you should consider. And it's in many instances a way for you to improve your pricing, especially if you deliver services. With value-based pricing, you look at the value you're providing your customers, and based on that value, you charge a portion. It also gets you grounded, by the way, in what exactly you're doing for your clients and your customers. And you actually look at that and say, well, if I'm going to, for example, provide $1,000 in value, what portion of that should I take? And I like 1/10. So, so that's fair exchange. So, for example, if you're providing $1,000, you charge $100, right? If you're providing 10,000 in value, you could charge $1,000. And so what you're able to say is look at that and go, this is a fair exchange because it's costing you $1,000 to potentially get the value of, X, 10X essentially. And so that's a great way to look at it. And by the way, if you look at it and you see, well, it's my margin's still not where I need to be, then you may want to consider increasing the value that you provide to your customers. So that's one of the things. That's one of the big things, especially for pricing, that I've seen work. Another one is run a deadweight audit, right? So identify products, services, things that you're providing, and look at it, make a list of everything, all your costs, and say, okay, for all my costs and all my products, really, what is really helping my margins? What's actually contributing to my margins? Recently, I sat with a business owner. We looked at the products and the marketing campaigns that they were running. One was actually, that she thought was doing well, actually wasn't. And the one that I thought was okay, actually was providing a lot more profit. And so obviously the choice was clear, that the one that wasn't providing as much profit as she thought it would is one that she's gonna, not focus on anymore. And the one that is the one that she's gonna provide a lot more attention, put a lot more marketing dollars towards, and obviously see potentially higher return, right? Next one is, and it kind of relates to what we're saying, the 80-20 rule. Look at your products, or specifically look at your customers or your client base, and use the 80-20 rule. What does that mean is you usually get a disproportionate amount, not necessarily 80-20, but usually a disproportionate amount of your business from a particular avatar. An avatar are people who a client that kind of looks similar, right? They might have a certain similar demographic. They might have a similar taste. They might have certain things that, would help you identify them. And then what you do is you drill down and start to spend more time and energy in finding out more about that client. Or maybe if you know a lot about that client, what you start to do there is start to provide that client with more attention and start to reach out to that client, get referral, and start to specifically market to that client because that's the client that's benefiting you. Another thing you can do is systematize repeatable work, right? So often this is what happens where you go, okay, I need to hire more people. But quite frankly, a lot of times when we're doing things, if it's not systematized, and usually this is done through what's called standard of procedures, if it's not systematized, what you typically will be doing is the same thing, but you don't have process for doing it, and so it's taking you longer than it needs to. If you're able to systematize it, what you're able to do is, okay, this is how I do this thing, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you work your way through that process, right? And if you're not working your way through that process, each time you might be approaching this thing differently, and it may be taking up so much more of your time than it actually needs, than you actually need. Another one related to that is to automate, right? So in the day of AI, and I chuckle because I feel like everything is about AI. But today, in the day of AI, what you find is a lot of admin things you do could now be systematized. It could be whether it is creating content. You know, some people have actually, used it to respond to emails, or at least help you create a calendar. I've seen some folks use it for. I've seen it take a lot of admin tasks specifically that are really routine and doesn't take much thought to get done, and have the AI help with that. So previously we talked about standard of procedures. We're creating this process for doing things, but what we also have here is AI is actually carrying, taking action, and and be careful how you do that, your privacy requirements, and if you have customer data that's being involved here, just be careful about how you go about that. But there are options for doing this. So that's what you want to do. Another one, and so these are like the 5 things I see usually business owners, these are the steps that business owners have usually taken to increase their profit, right? So again, look at your pricing, see if you can fix that. Look at your product and service and see, which one you need to cut instead of putting all the time and energy in. 80/20 rule, double down on, ideal client, ideal customers, create standards and procedures. This is a process for doing things. Automate, and this is using different AI tools, and there are a bunch of different AI tools that I have seen work. So those are processes. And the last one I want to say is, quite frankly, if you have a business, and many people don't consider this, but you may have an opportunity to sell your business. If you can't sell a business, at a minimum, after you've created all these processes, you could actually sell the process as an asset outside of the business or along with the business. Quite frankly, if you're going to sell the business, a lot of times people want to see the system and the processes in the business. But all of this will help you in the long run if you're looking to exit and sell your business, right? And so the opportunity here is for you to put these things in place to benefit from it now, but also later down the road. And maybe you don't plan to sell your business, but maybe you plan to transfer it to your child or your kid or whoever. So these are huge benefits that you could do. Hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully you've taken something away from here. And see you next week, where I will post more content about things that business owners could do to get themselves in the best profitable position to win. Take care.